Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Agnew. I'm the regional owner for Keller Williams in Utah, and I also own market centers in Arizona and in Salt Lake City, Midvale, and in Park City, Utah. I'm really excited today for you all to be here because this is all about the next level for top agents. It's about the next level in terms of expanding your business, making it a scalable business where you can create new sources of income by implementing the systems that you already have in place. I'm really excited today because what I believe that you will learn from our esteemed guest, Jason Wells. You're going to learn a lot about the systems that Jason has created, the disciplines, the mindset that he has, and more importantly, how he's put it into action, how he's taken what he's learned and put it into action to create and expand his business in other markets. Jason Wells is a really great businessman. He has a great business mind. He has duplicated himself in several markets that you're going to learn about today, and I'm really excited to have Jason with us. So Jason, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, and I'm very excited to be able to be here with you guys and talk about this because it is a whole new frontier, and it's a real exciting time to be in real estate and developing a business.
Well, the guy that put this all together is Frank Klesitz from Viral Marketing. And Frank, thanks for arranging this and setting it all up. I know that you've got some questions for Jason as well as probably the audience will too. So Frank, is there something you'd like to ask Jason?
Well, first off is that if anyone has any questions, there's a Q&A app on here. They can feel free to ask. And maybe you're hearing over here on the right, they have a giant garbage truck outside my window. So that's getting too loud. So that'll be going away here shortly. But if anyone has any questions, you can use the Q&A box and feel free to ask, and we'll kind of get into them. But Jason, the question I would like to start off with is, why don't you just give us a quick backstory of, very briefly, on why and how you got into real estate, and give us a story,
Okay.
very briefly, again, of how you got to where you're at. Because I want to spend most of the time today going from where you are to where you're going to go with Mega Agent
Where we're going in
Expansion.
the future, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got into real estate, got my license about 4 years ago in Arizona, and I am based in Arizona in the Tempe area at Keller Williams Realty East Valley, one of Scott's offices. And when I started in real estate, it was actually when everything was at the bottom and short sales and REOs were everything, and people thought it was absolutely nuts that I was getting into real estate at that time. For me, though, it was a perfect fit because I am also a real estate attorney. So combining the law aspect with the real estate aspect was just a perfect match. And I chose to be at Keller Williams because I didn't want to have to reinvent the box. The culture there is so symbiotic, and so everyone just gives to one another. And that was the place for me to go to learn the right models, to learn the right systems in order to become what I wanted to be. So fast forward 4 years now, we are a team that we consistently do about 20 million in production in the Phoenix area. We have an office now that we've opened up this year in Tucson. We have an office a year ago that we opened up in Salt Lake, and an office this year we opened up in the Utah County area in Utah, which is like the Provo, Orem, Lehigh sort of areas.
That's great. So now, the way your body, would you share with us kind of how your current business is structured as far as like an organizational model?
Yeah, we're largely structured. I have a partner. His name's Chris Niederhauser, and he also is an attorney and realtor. And the two of us, along with our newest partner, Ashley Van Winkle, we head up everything for the real estate division. Ashley is tasked with primarily growing and developing us into the new areas where we're going to be expanding and where we're looking to grow and bring talent. Chris and I, as attorneys, we also, of course, are working with the law firm, but our focus is all residential related, which you don't have too many attorneys that do that. So we have us at the top. Chris acts as the lead buyer agent. I work as the lead listing agent. Then we have two buyer agents here in Phoenix, a showing assistant, and we have a lead agent in Tucson, a lead agent in Salt Lake with a buyer agent in Salt Lake, and a lead agent in Utah County. as well as we have 3 admin and a VA,
Okay.
virtual
And then
assistant.
all of the agents themselves are the ones prospecting for the business then. So you probably, I think you said before, you try to give them, split the leads evenly, and then everyone has to go out and get their own business. Is that correct?
Yeah, a big thing that we are focused on is not being a team where we're just going to give everything to the agents. We're all going to be far more successful if we are cultivating the opportunities, cultivating the talent within us internally. So we want to see our agents growing and developing their business. What we truly push is come to Wells Realty and Law Groups, build your business inside our business. We've already got the tools, we've already got the systems, we've already got the connections, we've got the coaching, everything that we can provide that you don't have. And it becomes a real great opportunity for that agent that's doing, anywhere from really 2 to 6 million a year and just can't get past that last bump, to come in here and explode their business into being able to do the 10, 12, 15 millions that they're looking to do.
So if an agent comes to you versus going directly to the market center, what support do they get? Let's say lead generation. What lead generation support does an agent get when they come to your team?
We, every morning as a team, get together and we script. Now, a lot of people think scripting, oh my gosh, I don't want to script. We hear about scripting. It's kind of like the painful part of real estate, right? When you're going to lead generate, I got to script. Well, we actually look at that in terms of if we're professionals, professionals practice, amateurs wing it. And as professionals, if you look at, say, a Peyton Manning, or if you look at, say, a Steve Nash, how much time they spend on their respective field or court practicing. An example is Steve Nash. After practice, he used to go and he'd shoot 200 or so free throws before he'd leave. As a result, we refer to our scripting more as it's time to go do free throws. It's time to practice our tools. It's time to hone our skills so that when we break from our scripting piece, which is from 8:30 to 9 for the next 2 hours, 9 to 11, we're ready to really get into some lead generation. It also provides a great opportunity for talking about challenges that come up, issues that clients or leads have when you're talking to them, and how you get past those concerns and resolve them so that you can get to the appointment, that you can close the lead, you can close the deal, and ultimately be able to reach your goals.
Now, how do you role play in script practice when they're not in your office?
We actually use Google Hangout. We use Google Hangout or GoToMeeting, and we
get everyone together on a video conference every morning. What time?
Exactly, 8:30 in the morning. We all get on video conference, and so we have some folks who are here, at the hub at our main office here in Tempe, but our Tucson agent and our Utah agents are all going to get on that Skype or Google Hangout or GoToMeeting. We kind of flip back and forth between them.
How many people do you have on these morning huddles, I'd call them?
In the morning huddle, we'll have 3 or 4 video connections. And total, because people kind of pair up at different places, we usually have anywhere from 6 to 10 of us on the call in the morning to do the huddle.
You should broadcast those live. Share them with people.
It might be something we have to look at. Get our house all completely going and streamlined.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so you have the agents in different. Let's talk about from an agent expansion standpoint. You started your business in Tempe, and only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When did you make the decision that you should break into new markets and get agents in other states?
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago I started doing that, and the reason for that is because myself, Chris, my partner, and at the time 2 other agents who were working with us all had large sphere of influences up in Salt Lake. My partner and I are both transplants from Salt Lake down here. We both came down here, went to law school. We didn't meet each other until then. So we had these big spheres and nobody really doing real estate in our families. So it just seemed like, well, if the SOI and the referral is the key piece to be getting, your business going, and what they always talk about when you start to lead generate, then that was a prime spot just waiting to be cultivated. So I went through what needed to be done to get my Utah license, and then 1.5 years ago in January, I started making trips up to Utah, and I made a trip up once a month for a week, every month, doing my due diligence, meeting people, getting the connections I needed, finding what talent was going to be needed, getting the lay of the land, and understanding, the regulations and rules around Salt Lake. And then it was July of last year we held a grand opening, and we did a grand opening in a larger, flashier style than most would because of our family and friends who were there. But we had a grand opening gala at a place called the Market Street Grill. We brought in everybody. We had probably 200 people that came to this, like reception, and that's how we kicked it off. And it was the right move for us at the right time. And so we've been officially really running things for just over a year there in Utah now.
That's great. So the agents there in Utah work from home? Sorry, Scott.
We have an office in our Keller Williams Midvale office, which is Keller Williams Utah Realtors. We do have an office there that the agents utilize, and they utilize their home offices as well.
So Jason, question for you: when you went into the new market and you said, "Okay, I want to do my due diligence," could you talk about a little more specifically what that was, your due diligence that you needed to do? Could you just share with the audience a little bit of that?
For sure. The sort of things you need to understand when you're going into a market for your due diligence is, on a large scale, what is the market? Is it buyer, seller, balanced? What's going on? What are the ebbs and flows of the market? Every market has its higher seasons and lower seasons. Where are those? You need to understand where those are so you can adjust your lead generation strategies. We went into this wanting to make sure we did a no-cost, low-cost lead generation model, not or just throw a whole bunch of money out there and hope something starts coming in. We wanted to be lead with revenue, truly red light, green light in doing it.
Right.
So, I met with two different title companies, and in meeting with the title companies, I was having them pull statistical information. What's the saturation rate? How long have people been in areas? What's the turnover ratio? What's the price point? What tends to be the amount of debt that they have on the homes? How long are people staying in the homes? Because the national average says 5 to 7, but that's not going to be 5 to 7 years in a home. But that's not necessarily the case everywhere. And in a place like Utah, people tend to buy and stay. So it's really getting an understanding of what areas are ready for people to start turning out and coming in, and then that becomes a place you say, okay, I'm going to target that area as a farm. So it was about making the right connections, understanding what's going in the market, getting an idea of how the market's trending, because if you can get an idea of how the market's trending, you don't have to react to the shift. You can start shifting ahead of the market, and then since it was something we were coming into, we just came in, as this is our business model, a little bit ahead of the market. We're fortunate in that Phoenix trends about 6 to 8 months, sometimes even as much as a year ahead of Salt Lake. So we go through a lot of this stuff down here and know that it's coming up in Utah. So we develop a new system or a new shift, and we then just implement it up there in Salt Lake after we've refined it here, and it just takes off.
Well, so when you say due diligence, you went in and analyzed certain areas. You went in and analyzed the turnover rate, right?
Yes.
How fast are they turnover? Now, did you also take a look at if there were any particular agents that dominated a particular area, or did you kind of ignore that and just go to where the turnover was?
For me, I ignore that. I'm not really concerned about if I'm going to go into an area if there's an agent that dominates it, because I know we have a strong UVP, our unique value proposition, and I know we communicate it very clearly. So I don't know, maybe it's the DI in my personality, my Vector 1. I'm not afraid of the competition. If I see a place I want, that's where we're going.
Yeah. Well, you've done that very well, and the other, when you, going into a new market is obviously, where do you start? Where do you look at? Yeah, I'm sure you also did a lot of reconnaissance work with Allied Resources.
Absolutely.
But before we get into that, I want to just go back to red light, green light.
Yeah.
I just want to explain. Can you kind of either explain or I will what red light, green light means, so that, because you said lead with revenue, because a lot of guys, they want to expand, but obviously they're afraid about overspending, overinvesting.
Absolutely. And it's super easy to do that, super easy to overspend. The whole lead with revenue is you don't spend more money than what you have coming in. Does it take an investment? Sure, it takes an investment. So you need to have from your hub a certain amount of money that you say, all right, I'm going to take, and I'm ready to commit 10 grand for the next 2-3 months, to making this work in my new area. And you go and that's your initial investment, but you don't spend any more until there's more money coming back. That's the lead with revenue part. The red light, green light is that similar idea where until there's enough money coming in and you're holding your dollars accountable, that you don't spend any more money. And so it's important to note when you're expanding, it is not duplication. A lot of people get this idea that it's duplication. No, if you duplicate, you're going to go through a lot more spending, a lot more financial pain, and maybe even fail when you didn't need to. So it's not duplication. Just because you're doing radio, like, you know, my partner and I, we do radio shows down here in Phoenix all the time. We're not doing radio shows up in there in Salt Lake. The revenue hasn't led to that point yet. Our red light, green light isn't to where we would start doing radio shows up there. Will it eventually? Yes, it will. And when it hits that point, we'll turn that part of the lead generation on. And that goes back to the low cost, no cost lead generation that we want to do. As money comes in, prospecting based, you know, whether it's door knocking, calling cancels, expires, FSBOs, your sphere, whatever, you're prospecting based and you're marketing enhanced. So it's kind of the idea of pull people offline to online.
And so make the distinction now between revenue and cash. Okay, so revenue is what you have coming in, and don't you use a formula of some percentage that you say, okay, if we've got X amount of dollars coming in, we can then say X percentage of that's going to turn into cash because some deals fall out, whatever, right?
Absolutely. Okay. And that's exactly right. It's the whole idea, you know, of understanding what your profits are, knowing what your P&L tells you, having a P&L. Is it be good? So that you can see those things, because really, otherwise you're just throwing stuff and hoping it'll stick. And if you're doing that, well, then for the market center you go to, you can become a drain on resources. You're not going to be providing the value to the agents that you need, because recognize a lot of the agent talent that we're like going out and looking for are the people who are missing these key business pieces. They're good people, they're good agents, they can do the deal, they just haven't been able to form it into an organization like we have.
So the point I want to make to the audience, if I might, Jason, to kind of just tie a bow on this, is that when you expand into new markets, it's not necessarily high risk. It just takes a discipline. And then all you do is you simply understand that if you stick to that discipline by leading with revenue, playing red light, green light, it's not like you're writing a huge check to go into a new market.
Not at all. That's correct.
Okay. So there's no reason to hold back from doing it as long as you understand the discipline and you understand what leading with revenue is all about, and you're willing to implement that in your practice.
Absolutely.
Easier said than done, right?
It takes some discipline. And for me, a big part of that discipline was having a great partner like Chris, who is much better at that. For me, I'm just like, go, let's do it. So Chris has the 24-hour veto on just about everything, and he has done an excellent job of holding us more accountable to that money, and it's a big reason why we're probably still in business.
So let's move to mindset. Let's talk about your mindset, because one of the things I've noticed about you is you're extremely learning-based. You're a guy that accepts outside input. Of course, you have to respect the source of that input before you will just blindly accept it. You and Chris have been partners. You trust each other. But how valuable has it been to have another set of eyes from another perspective on your business so that, you know, you do make good decisions going forward as you expand?
Oh, it's been essential because, you know, as much as I'd like to think that I know everything, I certainly don't. And what's fantastic is having someone like Chris and having someone like an Angie that you can talk to and you can go through their experiences and pull off their skills and their talents, because they're different than mine and mine are different than theirs, and then come together and have a cohesive objective. And that really is the key, Scott, is that there has to be that common goal, that big why that you both want, or that the organization all sees. And if you can't articulate that big why, then a whole lot of the what's you can do won't matter, because your what's won't achieve your why. So it's important to know what your why is. And for us, our why truly is improving the lives of others. That's mine and Chris's big why. And everything we do, from the law firm to the real estate, is focused at improving the lives of others. So from there, it's a matter of just breaking down the strategies. And Chris, like I said, is great, much better at the detail stuff for finances than I am. He is excellent with the logistics. Ashley is fantastic at pushing and driving and cutting through some of the stuff, where I might be more just, I'm push and go, and I may be a little bit of goofy sometimes.
Yeah.
They would probably say a lot.
Well, you're kind of, ready, fire, aim, right? I mean, that's
Yes.
how you're wired.
Yes.
And that's a wonderful attribute to have. It's a wonderful attribute for anybody that's going to grow a business. Entrepreneurial people tend to be ready, fire, aim. But you've also, you're smart enough and intelligent enough to know that ready, fire, aim is awesome, and it doesn't hurt to have somebody saying, "Okay, but Jason, let's aim over here first,
Exactly.
and then let's fire."
That's absolutely it. And it was hard for me to learn to do the ready, fire, aim, because I wanted to know everything at first. And once I was able to let go of that, which was more my personality to just go, what's important is that you be aiming at least in the right direction when you ready, fire, aim. And then your people that you have with you can say, tweak a little bit to the left, raise it up a little bit more, there, and then you can hit your mark.
Well, let's move from mindset real quick, and I know Frank wants to probably pop in here, but let's move to some of the principles.
Okay.
In terms of how you conduct yourself. What are some of the rules around your business? I know you're definitely a win-win type of guy. You want to you mentioned that you want to make a positive difference in people's lives. We
Yes.
talk a lot about it's not about the money and those kind of things. Let us know who you are as from a values position. I've always admired you for this.
Well, this is one of those things that gets a little difficult for me to talk about.
Well, if you don't, I'm going to talk about it. Nobody wants to listen to me, so you're up, dude.
It's for Chris and I, it's really not about. We have never made a GCI goal, which right. I know some agents, team leads, people out there is like, that's heresy. How can you not have a GCI goal? Yeah. Well, we don't have one. We never have, and we never will, because it's not about the GCI. GCI means it's about me, right? It's about the volume and the units that we can do, because the more volume we do, the more units we do, that means the more people we're helping. If we're helping more people, the money's going to take care of itself. The money's going to be whatever it's going to be. I mean, we got to be able to make this much to keep operations going. Of course, that's what the P&L is for. At the same time, we know that if we can get a deal done for a client, an example, had a client who had been looking for a home, found a home down here in the Phoenix area, $500,000 home, $5,000 flat commission. That was it. Well, we never balked at it. We never asked the client for more. Yeah, I had a buyer broker for 3%. Never went to the agent and asked more because it was offered $5,000 on the MLS. And what ended up being the case is that the seller only had like $5,000 to give to avoid a short sale. We didn't want to end up in a short sale, so we did that transaction, and it was no problem taking the $5,000. And the client knew that we had taken a $10,000 haircut to do that, and was extraordinarily appreciative. As a result, we've taken 2 more deals from them that they've referred over. So when you have that servant leader approach to everything, and that it's really about the client and achieve the goals of the client, the rest of the stuff in the transaction can largely, I don't want to say fall apart, but it doesn't matter as much.
Yes.
And we, Chris and I, take this consultative approach to real estate, that it's not about, I tell my clients when I meet with them to sell their house or to buy one, that look, it's not, this meeting here is not about selling your house. This meeting about is, what do you want? Where do you want to be in 3, 5, 10 years? And now let's put together a full comprehensive plan that will get you there. Maybe that means don't sell your home. And I've had clients that, based on what they wanted to achieve, I've told them, no, don't sell your home. Let's wait another 6 months or a year, buy a separate home, turn this into an investment instead. And would I have been better off with a buy and a sell in terms of income? Of course. However, my client would not have been better off. And so our focus is always on what we can do for the client first and foremost, And within that, it's also the team. What do we need to do with the team? And having the team structure we have allows people to take back their lives. They're not stuck having to negotiate everything in the binder, or having to do all their marketing, or having to submit all their paperwork, or do all the administrative. They're able to focus on what they want, which is meet people, put together deals, and close deals. Those are the three things they want to be able to do, and we provide that so that they can do that. And within the team, we provide coaching within the team. We provide opportunities to get to mega camp, to be able to take a recruit select, to be able to take the different courses that are going to help them improve themselves. Because if we invest into them and make their lives better, it's just going to turn around and come right back to our clients and to our business.
So let's piggyback on that, because I think you've made a very good point about, I think it's obvious to the audience that your strategy is the customer comes first. I think that's your strategy.
Yes.
Building around that, what you've done is now that you've started to expand, what's happened is you've got a pretty big business that you're looking at. You've got a big business plan. There's plenty of room for the people that want to be part of your business to enjoy high levels of success if they want to go big and work hard and do what they're supposed to do. So in terms of support, you mentioned things like you mentioned some things around education. You mentioned Mega Camp. What's Mega Camp? Tell everybody what Mega Camp is. And then you mentioned Recruit Select. Tell everybody what that is. Elaborate a little bit.
No problem. These are excellent training programs to invest in yourself and your business. Mega Camp was the transformative convention that I experienced. I missed it my first year, and I went my second year, and there's no way I'm missing another one again. It takes place in September. It happens in Austin, and what it is, it's a week-long camp. There's agent camp, tech camp, masterminds, leadership, whatever you want, it's there. And it is the top minds in the industry, not just top minds at Keller Williams, mind you. It's the top minds in the industry who are performing at a high level that, every time I go there, I think I'm thinking big enough about my business, and Chris and I just look at each other and we're like, man, what is wrong with us? We're thinking itty bitty. We need to expand our vision. We need to think bigger. And that's what it does for you when you go to Mega Camp. You see what others are doing and you realize, honestly, they're not that special.
It's
I'm
true.
sorry, but that's the truth. They're not that special. We get this idea that there's some reason that they're able to do all that they're doing, and the reason is disciplined to do the things we've talked about on this call, Scott. It's disciplined enough to do lead generation. It's disciplined enough to have a profit and loss. It's disciplined enough to hold their money accountable. That's what is the difference. And so something like Mega Camp puts that into perspective for you. It gives you some tools as well as connections across the country to be able to grow and develop yourself and your business that way. So anyone out there who's curious about it, I'd just Google Recruit Select Keller Williams, and I'm not Recruit Select. I'm sorry, Mega Camp Keller Williams.
Yeah, we'll get to Recruit Select in a second. Yeah. But let's
Mega Camp is fantastic.
Let's talk about masterminding and Mega Camp, because one of the principles. I mean, Napoleon Hill. You look down the down the line at success teachers or achievement teachers, and one of the principles they all every one of them agrees on is that nothing of great significance is ever accomplished alone. That we don't do things in a vacuum, right? We get ideas, we get support. Sometimes we get our bell rung a little bit. Sometimes we have a friend that is a colleague that says, hey, wake up,
Right.
You could do this much bigger, better, faster, more efficient. So when you go to Mega Camp, and I know you've established some relationships at Mega Camp, when you go there, it's not only beyond the formal educational process, but it's also about talking to other guys that are in your same boat. They have your exact same issues, but maybe they're in Rochester, New York, or maybe they're in Michigan, or maybe they're coming out of a market in the South. Yeah. And you get to help and you get to receive, right? I mean.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's so fantastic when you do that, because it's sort of like going to group therapy. You realize the same problems you got, other folks have, and for some of them. So then they're giving you the keys of what they did to get over it, and you're able to move on. Same thing with you. You're able to feed back and give back to them. And I mean, success leaves clues, right?
Yes.
And those who have come before us, they already went through the brain damage, so why go through it yourself? You know, establish a relationship with them, talk to them, learn from them, provide value to them, because I think sometimes you feel like, oh, if I go to someone, I'm just going to be take. Well, don't just take. Provide value, give value, give yourself, and that's really what it is. If you're giving yourself to them, you're going to be given value.
Well, John Maxwell talks about that quite a bit. How do we bring value to those we care about? How do we bring value into a world that, seems like everybody's working an angle, everybody's, out for themselves, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So the values you bring are truly, and I know this about you, are truly about, what you can contribute. So now let's move to your team and what kind of practices, we know your principles. I think everybody gets that. How do you translate that into productive win-win practices for the members on your team so that, your business moves where you need it to move to?
It's having a true relationship with those on your team. And our team, I don't know if we're unique, but as I look around and I hear things, it kind of sounds like we might be unique in that we really become a family here with one another. And it's not just about the production, it's about the quality of life that somebody has. And when you have that sort of a culture in your team members can't help but pass it on themselves to their clients. And the whole attitude within our organization is it's all about the client. It's about the organization. It's not about ourselves. And so we go above and beyond. We do whatever is necessary, even if it's not our own client, right? If it's a buyer, I tend to typically only work with the sellers as the listing specialist on the group. There's plenty of times I've gone out for Chris and showed his buyer some properties because he can't go, or I've helped Eric out on our team, or that Ashley has stepped in and helped out a Larry, or even done something on the admin side. We're all cross-trained on all the aspects of the team so that internally what we talk about in terms of our principles comes out in action, and we are self-giving to one another. We are sacrificing for one another. And when you do that, it just becomes part of your makeup, and you automatically start doing it for your clients without having to think about it or be coached on it.
Well, that's why, everything rises and falls on leadership, Jason.
Yes.
One of my great mentors in this business, a guy by the name of Dick Dillingham, gave a great definition of what a great team member is all about. And he says, great team members don't all have to agree. They don't all have to do what everybody tells them to do. He says, at the end of the day, great team members just know and are committed to all pulling in the same direction, right?
Correct.
However they want to do that.
Yep.
And in accomplishing that, here's what that means, all you agents that are listening. Here's what that means. When you have a strong team, everybody's pulling the same direction. Everybody believes in the vision. Everybody believes in what's possible. What that really does, at the end of the day, business-minded people watching this, it actually helps you be more profitable. Your profits will start growing exponentially. Why? Because when everybody's committed and everybody's bought into the team, guess what? Turnover goes down.
Zip.
Right? So Jason, I know that you are very, very aware of retention, how to retain great team players. You know that talent on your team is irreplaceable, right?
Yes.
And you do everything you can to provide high value to those team members so that they'll stay.
Exactly.
And not just high value in terms of family and all that, but high value in terms of income potential.
Absolutely.
Right? Which is why you've got to go big.
Exactly. We have to, Chris and I have to make sure that our world stays big enough that anybody can have their world inside our world. And it's not about us achieving our world. Chris and I are about talking to each other. Hey, if we don't do this and this, we're not going to get what we want. It's how, for example, Eric on our team.
Yeah.
His goal is in the next 2-3 years, he wants to be able to buy a cabin in Flagstaff. So we're constantly on him about that. Let's do this. How are we going to do this? And setting up goals and benchmarks and budgets so he can save and reach those goals. That's what it's about doing, is finding out what are the whys within your own team. And that's why a group like ours has so much potential, and why agents like up there in Salt Lake and our agent in Tucson wanted to join our team. The agents that joined us were already doing, like, what I said, between 2 and 6 million a year. They wanted to be a part of this because they can see themselves growing and achieving so much quicker what it is they wanted, because our focus is on them. How are we going to get Eric his cabin? How are we going to do that? Well, we got to make this happen. We got to do this. Let's set these things in line. Let's arrange this meeting, or whatever the case is. We are focused on getting him that cabin.
So you know what you want. You have a vision for your team. You understand what you value. You definitely are clear about the principles upon how you're willing to practice your business. Would you mind sharing with the you mentioned Recruit Select? Would you mind sharing with the audience some of the tools that you are now, you're learning about, as we all are? We're always learning. And would you share with the audience some of the tools that you've, grown to learn about, and now you've started to implement in terms of how do you put this team together? How do you go out and do it?
Absolutely. The key one that I wish it was one of the very first things I did, it wasn't, but I wish was, is attending Recruit Select. That experience, going through that course, is eye-opening and awakening. It really puts into perspective the importance of talent and finding talent, and it erases those beliefs that I know many of the agents out there listening to this are thinking, well, why would somebody want to come work with me? How do I convince somebody to only take this much pay on something? It's not about that. You got to quit worrying about that, because the truth is, if you can't see past that, you'll never convince anybody else to see past that.
Okay, stop right there. I've got to stop you. Probably the number one reason people don't think they can grow their team is because they don't think they can afford talent.
Correct.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Frank, you can chime in at any time on this, because I know this is important to you too.
Mm-hmm.
But is it really about affording talent, or is it about showing talent a vision and giving them?
That's the great comparison right there, Scott. Is it the money or the opportunity? And true talent that you're looking for when building your business wants the opportunity. They want to see your vision. If you can paint that vision and that picture for them, they will latch right on, and they will take off with you. And the salary, it's like I said before, it will work itself out. If it's a win-win for you and the talent, you will find that win-win, and it will benefit both of you symbiotically throughout the relationship.
I'm sure Frank probably has some questions on that.
No, I completely agree. The name of the game is to. I was talking to Scott about recruiting, about how you're looking for motivation, intelligence, and behavior, and how to identify that. I've been researching as much as I possibly can for someone to help build us our lead generation side of our business, and it's been very eye-opening to me. And it's given me lots to think about over the past few weeks, is finding the right people that want to do this for a living and are passionate about it first, and see the vision of it being something bigger than themselves, and a part of a team where it's all going in the same direction who they work with. Then you find the money motivations are much more lower on the totem pole. You see probably even more even true with maybe in the younger generation, at least from what I read.
And to piggyback on that, you guys, because I think this is a really good point. Your issues, everybody's issues in terms of growing a business are really the same. The issues really don't ever change, right? Mm-hmm. Right, Jason?
I mean,
when you look at your law practice, or you look at the business of building real estate practice or expanding, it's first, right, leadership. You've got to have, and that's really about building a strong, clear vision that attracts the kind of people you want to be in business with, right?
Exactly.
And then it's recruiting to that vision, not to your, if it was up to our personalities, we'd be in trouble, right?
Yes,
we're not that charming, right? But but if we could simply recruit to a compelling vision, which is to make a difference in people's lives, right? That's what you're about. Mm-hmm. And I buy into that because I know you and I know who you are and what you're about. Then after you've brought them in, then the third stage, right, is making sure that they get the training they need, right? And that is where that's where so many guys fall off. So talk to us about for your vision and for the business that you see, how willing how big do you feel you can go in terms of getting your people the training they need to perform at a
I
high level?
Scott, I honestly don't think that there is a limit to that. And we have things we want to see them doing, like attending a mega camp or Keller Williams family reunion, or the different classes that Keller Williams offers, like a 36-12-3 or something. Those are all available. At the same time, if there's something that the individual wants to do and they think is going to benefit them, well, then let's talk about how that's going to benefit them. And yeah, we'll jump right on and help them get that. If there's a separate course they want to be taking, and that even means if it's not even a real estate course, right? They want to be improving their lives, and there's something school-wise they want to take. They want to learn Spanish or whatever. Great.
Right.
Let's work that out. Let's put together what that win-win is and send them off to go do it. I mean, it's developing in that person, and when you invest in that person, you're not losing yourself. You're gaining them back. And I think what you said is right, that a lot of people, they go through the process and they find someone, but then they never do anything to develop that person, and that person becomes, gets soured because it's not what they expected. They expected to be able to grow, and they're not having growing opportunities. The importance of having a vision big enough, like for us, our vision is truly we're going to be in all 50 states at some point here in the next, few years. That is what will happen. And so we are going to have a big enough vision that we can bring people in, and guess what? As that happens, there's opportunities for state directors, regional directors, national directors. There's all kinds of opportunities within our organization for people to continue improving. And if somebody wants to learn something more about marketing, well then, hey, we call up Frank and we say, hey, Frank, we got somebody who wants to learn about marketing, right?
Yep, and I can hopefully help you with that.
Well, when you look at, and let's go back to what we talked about, you bring great people in. You work really, really diligently at finding out the type of training they need, because really what training's all about is teaching people about how to do something, right? I mean, it's not about education necessarily. It's not about what I need you to do as much as, okay, I need you to convert leads coming in. That's what I need you to do. And by the way, here are the scripts and here are the conversion steps in terms of how to it. And by the way, we're going to train on that, and we're going to train on that every week, right? We're going to keep training on that.
We're going to practice. We're going to come back to it. We'll record your calls, and then we'll go back over them. Let's celebrate the successes, address the failures, and move you forward so that those failures become successes.
Could you see a coach like Phil Jackson, getting his players together and go, okay, guys, what do you want to do at this next game? And they go, well, we just need to score more points than the other guys. And Phil go, okay, well, you guys get it. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow, right?
Yeah, put the ball in the hole.
Yeah, we know what we need to do. No, Phil says, okay, so great. Now let's practice. Let's get out and let's practice our skills. And let's practice under pressure, right? So they scrimmage. They mix up the squads, they get them in and out of their positions, they do whatever they can to help them simply develop their skill sets at the highest level that they can bring to the table when they're under pressure. That's really when skills show themselves, right?
Exactly.
So you've created an environment like that. So now let's go back to profit, because I think profit is a pretty interesting and important word in any business. Mm-hmm. I heard a long time ago the report card of business is profit. Yeah. So if you're making a lot of profit, maybe that's an A, depending on what your standard is for A. Mm-hmm. Not making it about that, but making that something that you can look back on and evaluate to see how you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
Doesn't everybody on your team like to know how they're doing?
Of course they do. And the more you can show them how well they're doing, it allows them to adjust to be better.
Yes. So making sure the numbers are up, everybody sees the numbers, doing that in groups, having everybody talk and report about their numbers, not making it all about numbers, but making sure that's an important part of the discussion every week, right?
Yeah, and it's accountability is what that really is, Scott. We have our why that we want to achieve. You can't achieve the why if you're not holding yourself accountable to the steps required to achieve the why. And that's what you're talking about here. So it's having that scoreboard is, okay, if we're going to achieve our why to be helping others, we have to be holding ourselves accountable to how we're doing that, and that's profit. That's how many contacts did you make? That's how many conversions did you have? How many buyer brokers? How many listing agreements? It's those things.
Well, I heard somebody, I think it was, I don't know if it was your team or maybe it was Carol's team. I can't remember, but I was talking to one of the team members, and last month he was like third, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he was so ticked off. He's like, I can't stand being third, you know? So he knows he's third,
Mm-hmm.
and of course he wants to be number one.
Right.
And if that wasn't a discussion being brought forth every week by the leader, by you, how would he know where he stood? How would he know what he needs to work on, or where he's at, or what he needs to do? There'd be no feedback. There'd be no breakfast of champions, right? There's no nourishment going into him in terms of where he needs to go next.
Correct.
So let's move now to the retention, the real retention piece, because we've covered, recruiting the right people. We've covered getting them the training and the support. Now let's talk about what truly needs to be accomplished to keep great people on your team, to keep them in, right?
Yeah.
Which is the leadership and motivation piece, which is about helping them set objectives that are in alignment with you, that they buy into. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard you say to one of your guys, like, well, what can we agree to that you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You tell me, and then if that fits, right?
Then great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the motivation piece and how you help them set objectives, preset objectives, so that and they know, how many clients they should be working with, what kind of numbers they need to be doing.
Yep.
Talk to us. What are the standards you set for your team?
What we do is we have individual goals with each agent. Okay, and like I told you about Eric wanting to be able to get his cabin. Okay, so if you want the cabin, what does that mean? And we run things backwards. A cabin is going to cost this much. So if it's going to cost this much, you got to be able to put this much down. To have this much down, you got to be able to save this much each year. You want to do it in 3 years. Let's break that down 3 years. This is how much you have to save. And we run everything backwards, basically using the MREA models, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent models of the lead generation model, the budget model, and we put together that plan for them. Then what we have is every week we have a book. See this? This is our focus on one thing, and it's the dominoes, all right? And what this does is it allows us as a team to focus on what our yearly, monthly, and daily goals are, and we all hold each other accountable to them. In our weekly huddle on Monday morning, we have our one thing meeting. We talk about, okay, here's our one thing for the year. Here's where we are at for the month, because if we achieve our every month thing, we'll achieve our yearly thing. And here's what our thing for the week has to be. And we go through, and each person has their one thing that they're going to achieve for that week. And it's all in terms of what will allow them to, for Eric, get his cabin, for the team, be able to help as many people as possible. And by holding each other accountable to that and having to put down and say, I did it or I didn't do it, and here's what I need help for, that really helps people move forward in their lives, get the things they want. Because truly, it's like Zig Ziglar says, and that's really become our mantra here, is that you help enough people get what they want, you'll get everything that you want in life. And that's a big piece of retention, is having that environment within the team that they can look to you as a leader who will coach them up, who will support them, who will hold them accountable, and at times, kick them in the pants if that's what they need, and other times put your arm around them if that's what they need. Having that sort of a safe place where someone can succeed and fail is essential, and that comes back a lot to this one thing and how we hold one another accountable to our goals and to achieve, really, I guess, our dreams.
So in terms of now you're looking at new markets and growth, what's your one thing right now? I know did you just bring on somebody? You mentioned Ashley. You just brought Ashley on because you have a very serious one thing, right? Which is opening new markets. Talk about that real quick.
Yep. Yeah. And a thing about Ashley is Ashley's a former team lead. She's one of those that I myself initially had looked at and I'm like, well, that's a lot of talent there.
She's amazing.
can I get that talent? And you don't know unless you have the conversation. So I engaged her in some conversation, and Chris and I met with her a few times, and absolutely, our big vision was right in line with what she wanted, and she has come on board and has been a driving force to help us expand into those markets, utilizing a lot of the relationships that she has. We're looking at California and Nevada, Texas right now as the next places to go. We are also looking for expanding up into the Salt Lake area, North Salt Lake area, Davis, Weber counties, up that way. So having that talent piece, someone like Ashley, who can do what you can't do, because I can't be out there doing everything every day.
Trust me, Jason, there's no way you could do what Ashley does.
That's for sure. And that's why you got to find somebody like that. You got to find yourself a talent like an Ashley who's going to do it way better than you can do it. That's exactly right.
No, I know.
We got a question here. I think this kind of ties in perfectly from a Kyler or a Kyle. I know Jason, and I must say he's a cool guy. My question is, what do I do next to grow? He's done 18 deals in his first 2 years, but he seems to have hit a wall. And I wonder if at that point, is it a talent issue of hiring somebody, or is it a lead generation issue when you're doing about 18 deals?
I'm going to say that it's a both issue. You're not able to lead generate enough because you have too much on your plate. You've got too much going on. So it's about taking the recruit select process that we talked about, finding that right talent to come in and help you from an administrative standpoint. I'd say we look at the millionaire real estate agent. It says you got to have that first key hire, and that's an administrative person. Well, yep, that's money right out of your pocket that you're going to be paying that person, and it's going to free you up to lead generate, so you can take that 18 to 36 because you're now leveraged. Soon you're bringing on a buyer agent. After that, the buyer, you maybe bring on another buyer agent or a showing assistant. It allows you to expand because you're able to get into doing what you want to do and need to do most, and that is the lead generation. So whenever you find yourself hitting a wall, it is a both. You're not able to lead generate enough because you don't have the talent in place to take stuff off your plate to allow you to lead generate.
You ever considered hiring a team of dedicated prospectors, Jason?
Absolutely, we are looking at that right now. Actually, a call center of ISAs or OSAs, and we have utilized it in the past to varied success. It is absolutely, I think, the next step for our group, and we have talked internally, Chris and Ashley and I, that our next administrative hire will be a 24/7 dedicated ISA, an inside sales agent. And I think having somebody like that who can filter those leads and qualify the leads and provide the leads to the team is absolutely that next talent piece for where we're at in our business to be able to continue to grow, because we have the bandwidth administratively and we have the ability to lead generate. I can only lead generate so much as can every agent on the team. Imagine if we had someone who could do it all day.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to keep them in-house, or are you going to outsource it someplace else over the country or overseas?
We are likely going to have it be a VA, a virtual assistant. It will probably be overseas. We actually have a VA right now who's doing a fair bit of more administrative work, and we hired him because he has the right personality profile, something you learn about in Recruit Select. He has the right disc to do the sales agent piece, and so we're going to begin training him up to do that. It's a red light, green light thing again, because as we start having him do that, we'll need to pull somebody else in to do the administrative stuff. Oh, and we'll use him to train the new VA, so we're not pulling additional resources from our hub.
Cool, great. What are you looking for in talent for your team? So what positions are you looking for, Jason, if someone wanted to come work with you in your vision, whether they're an existing agent, mm-hmm. or maybe someone who is in a different industry or just wants a new career change? Tell us who you're looking for on your team.
We're looking for that entrepreneurial-minded individual who wants to build a business and probably has even tried doing it and just hasn't been able to put together the models and the systems, because I tell you, that models and systems piece for people like myself who are a high DI, ID, or which means you're a fast mover, your driver. I have very little patience for the detail stuff, and it was very difficult to get it all put together. It was about bringing the right people in to make that happen. So a person who's wired like that is great for entrepreneurial activity. They're going to hit a ceiling, though, because they don't have the models and systems in place. So we're looking really for that person who is driven to succeed on their own and realizes that I can do it on my own. And this is much like our like the agents we have on our team. They're all agents who could do this on their own. All right, they're not on the team because I'm a failure in real estate, so I better join a team. They're on a team because they know they're going to get there faster with the team. They see that, okay, I might be able to reach a $10 million a year mega producing agent status, but it's going to take me 3-5 years, or I join the team, and it might take me 2. And then from hitting 10 million, then I'm starting to hit 15 million. From 15, I'm going up to 20, 25. That's what having the team for you allows you to do. And you know, I tell my team members all the time that we aren't here to hold them hostage either. We've had team members leave and have become successful capping agents from the team. Chris and I look at our team as a largely like a coaching tree. You look at like a Bill Belichick or a Phil Jackson, and great coaches that come from having been under their tutelage. That's what we want our legacy to be, is that great agents creating great businesses have come from their relation with us working here. Now, ideally, yeah, I'd love them to stay. that our vision stay big enough for them to never, ever want to go. And the reality is, some of them are going to leave, and we have backed those individual agents who have gone out and have become very successful. We still have great relationships with them because that's the pinnacle of seeing them improve their lives, right? And that's what our big why is, seeing them improve their lives.
I have to step in here because I think what you said is so important. In other words, to kind of paraphrase and put a little bow on it for you, I think what you're saying is, you go back to your vision to make a difference in people's lives. So wherever their success takes them, you're just grateful they're a part of your business. You're grateful that you were able to contribute. You were grateful that you could, someday say, you know what, our paths crossed for a time and both of our lives improved as a result of that, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, for the time that they're here, they can go off and become, out-producing us or whatever. We totally benefited from having that talent here with us. And hopefully we benefited their lives. And that's what we want to see. That's what it's about. So an agent or someone looking to get into the business, that right person is someone who's driven and wants to create something, create that business, have the ability to grow, because, we're already in 4 places. We're just going to keep getting bigger, which provides opportunities for anyone who comes to the team that now they're in 4 places. So it's just going to become more and more exponential that an individual who joins the team and wants to get to that $10 million level quicker by joining a team like ours that's already expanding and out there, they're going to have that much bigger of a reach to reach their goals and expand and grow their own business.
Well, if this sounds like the type of organization or the type of leader that one would want to be associated with, please get a hold of me or Jason. Follow up with us because I think anybody I really believe this. I think anybody who gets in business with you, Jason, is a pretty lucky person. So I really appreciate your time.
Great.
Thank you.
We'll end it there, and we'll have another good one next month. And thanks a lot, everyone, for the great knowledge.